Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today, we got a really special show for you guys. We're going to be going back to our roots, where we really get into these long, research shows that we used to do in the past. I said, hey, let's give the audience a treat here today. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. For those of you that have been subbed to us for some years now, you guys know we used to do these very long shows where we just kind of really get into the nitty gritty of a particular idea that I have and really flesh it out for you guys. And I said, okay, let's try that today. These videos usually take a lot more time to kind of research, but they're also a lot of fun because you spend all that time researching, you want to share what you found, right? So there's been this discussion out there of, you know, the greatest players of all time and all of that. The vast majority of NBA fans believe that it's Michael Jordan, and I tend to concur with the vast majority of fans. I believe it's Michael Jordan. I don't believe it's really close, even though Kobe is my favorite player of all time, right? But one of the things that has been held against Jordan, there's very little you can, but I'm talking the basketball court, but one of the things that's been held against him is the twilight years of his career as a Washington Wizard. Right? Some people that don't believe that Jordan is a GOAT view those years as an opening to say, hey, man, we got a shot at really bringing this guy down and poking some holes in his resume. And I've always maintained that, look, you got the guy's career is flawless, right? And I just began to kind of get tired of hearing people bring up that point. So I then started to do some investigation. Some of the stuff I already knew, some of it I discovered today. But I already had the feeling that most of these guys trying to make this argument and bringing Jordan down and pointing to his Wizard years, or like he wasn't that good. I'm like, these guys don't really understand that. In fact, if you look at Jordan's years as a Wizard, as a 39-year-old and 40-year-old, there's no question that Michael Jordan is still the most impressive 40-year-old to ever play basketball. And I personally don't even believe it's close. But I just don't want to say that and then not back it up. So today, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it. So let's get into that right now. Okay. So first of all, let's look at Jordan's numbers at the age of 39 and 40. At 39, when he returned to the NBA, Jordan was playing 35 minutes a game. He was scoring 22.9 points per game. Let's just say 23 to round it up. He was shooting 41.6% from the field. He was shooting 19% from the three-point line, 79% from the free throw line, while getting you 5.7 rebounds, 5.2 assists per game, and 1.4 steals. The subsequent year, when he was 40, he played all 82 games that year, because the year before he got hurt badly, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. He averaged 37 minutes a game as a 40-year-old. He scored 20 points a game on 44.5% shooting, 29% shooting from the three, while shooting 82% from the free throw line and getting you 6.1 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1.5 steals, right? So people look at those numbers and they immediately say, man, Jordan was washed, man. If you look at Jordan was washed. I'll concede the following to you. Jordan was washed compared to the Chicago Bulls Jordan. But then, I mean, you could say everybody's washed compared to the Chicago Bulls version. So you ain't really saying much. Jordan is washed in comparison to himself. But then if you juxtapose any other player in the history of the sport, they look washed compared to that Jordan too. Okay, Pumpkin? Let's just say that. But let's dig a little deeper. In that 2001 season, MJ averaged 5.2 assists per game. Do you know the last time Michael Jordan averaged that many assists in a season, or more assists than that in a season, was in the 1994 season? Are you aware of that? That's when Jordan was still in his prime. But let's take a step further. Let me explain to you the reasons I believe that Jordan is the most impressive 40-year-old to ever play in the NBA. I'm going to give you 3 specific reasons. And we're going to break this down. Number 1, his cast. Number 2, style of play. And number 3, era. Those are the 3 reasons that we're going to get into today that are going to prove to you without a shadow of a doubt that Michael Jordan is still the most impressive 40-year-old that ever played basketball. First of all, let's look at Jordan's teammates during that period, because I think it's important, because it tells a real story. Let's look at who Jordan was playing with. He was playing with players Courtney Alexander, Kwame Brown, Hubert Davis, Richard Hamilton, Brendan Haywood, Popeye Jones, Christian Laettner, Ty Lue, Tyrone Netsby, Bobby Simmons, Ian Thomas, shout out to Ian Thomas, follow him on IG, Jahadi White, and Chris Whitney. Let's look at the teammates he played with the subsequent year. Kwame Brown, Brian Cardinal, Juan Dixon, if you guys remember him, Anthony Goldwire, Brendan Haywood, Larry Hughes, if you guys remember him, LeBron's former team running mate, Jared Jeffries, Christian Laettner, Tyronn Lue, Charles Oakley, Byron Russell, Bobby Simmons, Jerry Stackhouse, Ian Thomas, and Jahadi White. Now, why am I bringing up his teammates? Okay. Why am I bringing up his teammates? I'm bringing up his teammates to explain to you, or to draw a parallel between his teammates and his scoring. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Of these guys that I mentioned, which one of these players was a top 75 caliber player on either of those years? The answer is nobody, right? So it was quite clear to see that Jordan was not playing with a top 75 guy on his roster, right? He didn't have a top 75 player. And therefore, because he didn't have a player of that caliber of talent, that level of talent, it made it harder for him to score, because defenses could key in on him. He wasn't playing with Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic, these Chris Paul or some Russell Westbrook or Kevin Durant. He wasn't playing James Harden. He didn't have any of those type of teammates, right? Any of those type of teammates. But he was still able to go out there and do what he did. And by the way, if Jordan even played today, I would always have my money on him, which is one of the reasons we're super excited to announce our newest partner, Underdog Sports. Underdog is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. The app is super simple to use. Just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite player and choose whether they go higher or lower. And if you make 5 picks and you get all of them right, you're going to 20x your money. Absolutely crazy stuff. Make sure you visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register using our promo code DreamersPro to claim your free pick plus first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credit. And by the way, for the first 100 people who do sign up using our code, sign up using Dreamers Pro, we're going to be giving you guys 3 months free of our Dreamers Pro community, our membership that we have there. All you got to do is just sign up, hit the link in the description that we have. Make sure you use our code, make your first pick, screenshot it, send it to us, and you're going to get 3 months free. Please make sure you go ahead and do that. Let's get back into today's show. So Jordan was not playing with top of the shelf talent. He didn't have the top talent in the NBA at the time on his roster, which made it more difficult for him to score. And he was still somehow able to score buckets. So we've addressed his teammates. Now let's look at style of play. Jordan, predominantly for his career, was a mid-range shooter, and he drove to the basket. He even did a show where he explained his philosophy on why he didn't like to take so many threes. So I dug a little bit deeper to look at his actual shooting percentages from various distances on the floor during those 2 years. MJ was shooting about 61% from 0 to 3. He was shooting about 36% from 3 to 10 feet, 43% from 10 to 16 feet, 42% from 16 to the three-point line, and around 29% from the 3. Now, some of you will hear that number, that 29%, and say, you see, Michael Jordan is absolutely terrible. He's terrible. But that's not the truth. I think we can all agree the more you do something, the better you'll get at it, right? The more you practice something, the better you'll be at it. I think we can all assume that by conventional wisdom. No one is going to be the contrarian here in the room and say, well, no, we're going to just assume that that's the case. The more you work at something, the better you will become. We all agree with that. Given that we all know this intrinsically, we will then understand why Jordan didn't shoot so well from the three. It's because Jordan for those 2 years was attempting 0.7 threes a game and 0.9. Jordan was attempting less than 1 3-point attempt per game. Less than 1. Less than 1. But he still found a way to average 23 a game and 20 a game. So how do you do that? How do you average less than 1 3-pointer a game, but still are able to average 23 points a game, 23 points a game, and 20 points a game? How do you do that? It almost seems impossible when you think about it. And I'm actually trying to see if I can find it. I don't know why it didn't occur to me to check then, but I want to check now. Let me see if I can find MJ's totals. I'm using basketballreference.com. I'm sure they don't have it here. Oh, they do have it. Let's see. How many 3-pointers did Michael Jordan make that year as a Washington Wizard? So as a Washington Wizard, Michael Jordan attempted on the season in 60 games, he attempted 53 threes. The following season, he attempted 55. Jordan in 2001 made 10 threes. The next year, he made 16. I think some of you watching this show are beginning to realize where all of this is going. And you're really beginning to realize, wait a minute, this dude is really, whoa, he taking it somewhere right now. You're really beginning to get a little peek into just how damn good this. I said it before, and I've been saying it for years. Jordan is the only player that I've noticed that the more you research his career, the freakier the numbers get. It's actually freaky. So we know that he wasn't attempting threes. 1 year he made 10 threes. The next year he made 16 threes. Imagine making 10 3-pointers in a season or 16 and averaging 23. How do you do that? How do you do that? Let's put this into context. LeBron attempts were at 39 and 30 and 40, 5.1 and 5.8. He makes about 2.3, which means LeBron scores about 6.9, let's say 7 points a game on 3-pointers, right? That contribute to his offense. If Jordan attempted the same amount of threes, making the same, his averages would look something like this: 27 points per game and 29.8. by simply attempting more threes. But MJ never attempted threes. As a matter of fact, for Michael Jordan's career, he only attempted 1.7 threes per game and made 0.5 per game, and still somehow found a way to lead the league in scoring 10 times. I don't know how he does it. Has the highest regular season scoring average, has the highest playoff scoring average. I mean, I just don't know how he does it. It must be magic. I mean, I don't know how he does it. I mean, Jordan, he's a GOAT. I mean, they be saying he's a GOAT, but it looks like he is, isn't he? But we're not done yet. We're going to keep giving y'all that work today. We're not done. We're not even close to being done right now.
Okay, now let's look at style of play. As I was saying, Jordan was predominantly a mid-range shooter, and a guy that drove to the basket. And he already explained why he did that, because his philosophy was, if he took too many threes, it would take away from his aggressiveness. In those years when MJ was a Wizard, he shot 61%. Right, let's go into the shooting percentages, the advanced numbers. 61% from 0 to 3. He shot 36% from 3 to 10 feet, 43% from 10 to 16 feet, 42% from 16 to 3-point line, and 29% from the 3-point line. Now, I know some people now hear that number and say, man, Michael Jordan was terrible. 29% of three-point shooter? That's terrible. Let me ask you guys a question. The more you do something, isn't it likely you get better? I think we can all agree. The more you do a particular thing, you're going to become better at that thing. We can all agree with this on an intrinsic level, right? On a very basic level, we can all agree with that. Fantastic. So some people looking at that and that saying it's terrible, it's not the reality. It's actually not true. Michael Jordan those 2 years was attempting 0.7 threes and 0.9 threes a game. Let me repeat the number. 0.7 and 0.3. 1 year, let me say this for you guys. he was averaging less than 1 threes a game, and the other year he was averaging less than 1 3. But still, he averaged 23 and 20. How did he do that? With only attempting 1 3 a game, less than 1 3. As a matter of fact, do you know that one of those years MJ only made 10 threes? And the other year he made 16. So ask yourself a question. How can somebody, you just think about it, watching NBA basketball today, how could somebody average 23 points in a season but only make 10 threes? I said this before and I'm going to say it again. Michael Jordan is the only NBA player that I have noticed that the more you look into his career, the freakier it gets. This dude's career numbers are freaky. Like, it's weird. The dude scored 23 a game in a season while making 10 threes. While making 10 threes as a wing player. To put that into context, LeBron is attempting about 5.1 threes and 5.8 during the years of 39 and 40 years old while making about 2.3 threes a game, right? That roughly comes out to about 6.9 points per game, let's say 7 points a game. If Jordan attempted the same threes and made the same amount of threes as LeBron James did, and there's no reason why Jordan wouldn't be able to do something LeBron couldn't, Jordan's numbers would have looked like the following: 27 points a game and 29.8 points per game at the age of 39 and 40. But MJ never attempted threes. As a matter of fact, for Michael Jordan's career, he only attempted 1.7 threes a game. Now ask yourself this question. How does a guy that only attempts 1.7 threes a game have 10 scoring titles, has the highest regular season scoring average, has the highest playoff scoring average? The only way you can explain that is by just coming to the conclusion that most of us have come to, which is Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Now let's get to the third pillar of my argument, which is errors. Let's look at the errors. When MJ was on the Wizards, teams were averaging about 96.9 points per game, but to round it up, let's say 97 points a game. In the 2020s, teams are averaging about 112.6 points per game, which means that teams are scoring today 15 and a half more points per game. So what does that all really mean? Let me prove to you now why I said Michael Jordan is easily the best 40-year-old who ever played. If you don't watch any other part of this video, watch this part, send it to your friends, send it to your haters, let them all see. Let them all see. Okay? Let's look at the total percentage of the offense that Jordan was contributing. For context, LeBron produces about 22 to 23% of his team's offense. In 2001, the Wizards were scoring 93 points a game. 2001, 93. Jordan was contributing about 25% of his team's offense. In 2002, when the Wizards were scoring 91.5 points per game, Jordan contributed about 22% of the offense while playing 37 minutes per game at the age of 40, while playing all 82 games, and oh, by the way, while dealing with injuries like a broken rib and knee and wrist tendonitis. We're not talking about ankle soreness, folks. We're talking about legitimate injuries. So MJ was playing with serious injuries. So given the fact that we've looked at MJ's teammates, his style of play, and his era, Michael Jordan is easily the most impressive 40-year-old that we've ever seen. Easily. And let me put it in this context for you guys. Let's not look at Jordan in the 2000s. Let's put Jordan, that Wizards Jordan, in the 2020s. Let me tell you what his stat line would look like. Jordan would be averaging about 30 points a game with around 7.5 assists and 7 rebounds at 40. And this can be easily proven. You don't even need to argue. This is not the part where we argue. This is the part where we all come to where we all agree. The reason we know that this is true and it can be proven as a fact, the fact is today there are more possessions, meaning there are more rebounds, meaning there are more assists, which means that there are more points available to be scored. Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. Michael Jordan is the most impressive 40-year-old we ever seen. And to make you guys really think about something, Jordan was doing all that while playing defense, by the way. But to make you guys think about something, given that Jordan was putting up those numbers, what do you think LeBron's numbers would be if you put him in the 2000s, in 2001 and 2002, at the age of 40, when teams were averaging less than 100 points a game, and you're not chucking up 1,000 threes a game? I'll leave you guys to think about those numbers. I'll leave you to think about those numbers. You have a nice day.